So I'm engaged. This news has been circling through my old high school friends, and I've been getting a lot of nice messages about it from everyone except this girl Kate. Kate and I were friends in middle school and high school, but I haven't spoken to her since then. We are both 25. When we were kids, she was very clear that her whole goal in life was to get married and become a stay-at-home mom. Dope, you do you. She's always been very traditional and feminine, and I've always been very tomboyish and masculine. This never posed an issue when we were friends. Since I got engaged, Kate has felt the need to let me and everyone else know how she doesn't understand how I'm engaged. She said, OP is just not what anyone thinks of as wife material, and OP just isn't very feminine. It's surprising she's getting married first, or just straight up making fun of the fact that I make more money than my fiancé and he's taking my last name. I sent her a message, hey Kate. I've heard from some other people what you've been saying, and it's hurtful to me, and she hasn't stopped. My best friend thinks I should be more empathetic because Kate always imagined she'd be pregnant with a first baby at 25, and instead she's never even had a boyfriend. This is where I might be an idiot. We were in a group chat talking about my wedding, and Kate said, it's crazy that you're getting married when you don't even shave your legs, and I just snapped and wrote, stop saying this just because you're lonely. No one wants to marry you because you have no thoughts or feelings or ambitions outside of being a wife or a mother. You're just jealous because I'm successful and happy and you're living at home with mom and dad and failing on Christian mingle. I know I was mean, but I feel like I was pushed, and I tried to tell her that she was hurting me. Other people told her to stop as well, but she didn't. Not the idiot, or rather, totally justifiable idiot. People don't seem to understand consequences these days. It's all fun until their feelings get hurt. She is hurting and taking it out on you, despite you and many others repeatedly telling her to stop. Yes, you could have put the phone down or responded to just her or done some different things, but honestly, she needs to grow up, and I can't blame you for snapping. You don't deserve to be belittled like that, especially during such a stressful time as wedding planning, because she's insecure and bitter. Not the idiot. In the words of ancient wise men, don't start none, won't be none. She clearly failed to heed that wisdom. Were you harsh when you roasted her? Yes. Did she deserve it? Also yes. She began the parade of nasty by constantly putting you down and trying to make you less worthy of marriage in her mind and the minds of others because she's sad and alone, and you know what? That's not an excuse. She was just mean and petty and outright terrible. I'm glad you gave her the middle finger, verbally speaking. Everyone's the idiot here, her for obvious reasons, but you could have just stopped talking to her. Why are you in a group chat with someone you haven't talked to since high school and who clearly doesn't respect you? I mean, she shouldn't be talking, but this sounds like it could have been avoided. But you also said things you think as to why she isn't married. Maybe she isn't meeting the right guy, or she just isn't having luck. Her personality isn't doing her any favors. There are many reasons, but her jealousy is her problem, and she isn't treating you like a friend, so why talk to her at all? I'm currently a senior in college and work a part-time job as a nanny to help pay for school. I've been taking care of one baby boy since he was 3 months old. He's now 11 months. I work 10-hour shifts, 3 days a week, and have to get up at 4 a.m. They pay me just above minimum wage. Over the summer, this family has gone through several huge changes. The dad got a new job an hour from where they live. His hours are all over the place, and he's often gone during the night. They moved into a new house, and it requires a lot of renovations, so there's constantly work being done, and tools are just left out on the floor. Most recently, though, they got a puppy. He's been in their house for about 2 weeks, and he's a little over 2 months old. He likes to bite people, eats the baby's toys, and doesn't want to play with his own toys. He's not house trained, so he'll leave accidents all over the floor. This has made my job incredibly difficult because I have to try to keep an eye on a crawling baby when they haven't really baby-proofed their house, while also training a puppy. Recently, I found a job that pays $6 an hour more than I'm currently making, has flexible hours, and it's closer to what I want to do for a career, so it could be really helpful for gaining experience and making connections. I applied, interviewed, and they offered me the job. I mentioned this to the mom yesterday. I told her that as much as I love her kid and truly appreciate how kind they've been to me, nannying is becoming a bit too much to juggle on top of being a full-time student, and this new job would be a really good opportunity. I offered to stay for 3 weeks to give them time to find a replacement. His mom got really upset. She said that she has a full-time job that is also exhausting and has to come home to the same stressful household that I deal with, but she doesn't get paid for it. So she basically works 24 hours a day and I'm quitting on her instead of trying to help. She felt it was rude of me to abandon her son when he's already gone through so many new changes recently and I'm one of the few constants in his life right now. And leaving them when they're dealing with so many stressful things is not fair. She said that I'm basically adding one more thing to her pile of obligations when she's practically a single mom right now with her husband's crazy work schedule. I told her that I would think about it and discuss it with her later. Now I feel awful because I get that she's overtired and overworked and I feel rude for quitting on her and her family during a difficult time. And I feel bad about leaving her baby when I've gotten so close to him. Plus it would be hard to find and train a new caregiver. But the stress of this job is killing me and I have basically reached a breaking point. So, am I the idiot for abandoning an overtired, overworked mom? Not the idiot, this is just so manipulative and selfish of the mother. She decided to have a kid, she decided to have a full-time job, they decided to move, renovate and get a puppy on top of everything. If you don't know how to deal with a kid or a pup, just don't get them. Don't listen to her trying to guilt you into staying. None of these are your responsibilities. You need to think of yourself and your future. You got really lucky getting an entry-level job that pays relatively well on top of helping you in your chosen field. Don't miss this opportunity. Not the idiot. She said that she has a full-time job that is also exhausting and has to come home to the same stressful household that I deal with, but she doesn't get paid for it. That is the most ridiculous argument ever. She was the one who decided to have a kid. She was the one who decided to make it more stressful. I am guessing the dog didn't just appear out of nowhere. How is any of this your responsibility? There could possibly be good arguments to try and make you stay. These are just selfish ones. Not the idiot. First off, the mom is being emotionally manipulative. She's trying to make you feel guilty. Do not feel guilty, you have been doing more than is fair. You didn't sign up to work as a dog trainer or a maid. This is beyond ridiculous and the mom needs to know that she doesn't own you and you don't owe her anything. You are her employee, not someone she can try to manipulate into feeling guilty. If she really wanted to keep you, she'd offer you more money and try to find a way to solve this. Please just leave, for your own good. This already sounds ridiculous, and I can't believe I'm even writing this, but here it goes. One of my best friends is getting married. I've known her since elementary school, and ever since we've known each other, we've always been completely different people. Yet, we somehow managed to stay great friends throughout the years. She's always been a bit of a tomboy, interested in cars, motorcycles, sports, and her style was basically the same. I'm completely different, I've always been girly and enjoyed dressing up to the nines and looking pretty. However, even though I knew what she's like, I seriously didn't expect this. Her future husband and her bonded over their mutual hobbies, and I was so thrilled for her from the very beginning of their relationship. They're perfect for each other, and I have zero doubts that they'll have an amazing and happy future. So, when she asked me to be her maid of honor, I was so excited and couldn't wait to become an even more important part of their lives. That is, until a few days ago. She told me that they were planning a very private ceremony, that is, the registrar, the two of them, the maid of honor, and the best man. I was completely supportive, and even though I was really looking forward to the celebration, I just wanted her to have her perfect day the way she wanted it. Then was the following conversation. Her fiancé and I decided to get married in tracksuits. I think it really reflects who we are. I'm going to wear a white one and he's going to wear a black one. You and best man can choose which color tracksuit you want, but they both have to be the same color and the same style as us. What? You're joking, right? You're going to wear tracksuits on your wedding day? What? Well, I can't see myself wearing a wedding dress, and he definitely can't see himself wearing a suit. Yes, but you could at least wear semi-formal clothes. A nice blouse and pants and shoes, maybe. And he could wear a nice shirt and pants. This is a wedding. And I'm not really comfortable wearing a tracksuit either. Can at least I wear a dress? But you're missing a point. It's supposed to be a theme wedding, like we're all wearing the same tracksuits, only in different colors. You can't wear a dress. I really want you to have your perfect day, but this all seems really trashy. And then we got into a bit of an argument and changed the subject later. Am I going crazy? Should I just shut up? I'm thinking of refusing to be a maid of honor if she keeps insisting on this. Am I the idiot here? You're the idiot. It might not be your idea of the perfect day, but it's her wedding and it suits her personality. It won't hurt you at all to wear a tracksuit for one day. Treat it the same as if she had chosen a bridesmaid dress that you didn't like. You would make peace with not looking how you want to look, but put on a brave face because it's the bride's day, not yours. Honestly, I think you owe her an apology. It's fair enough to raise concerns once, but you dug in and went on and on about how it was trashy. You should have dropped the subject way earlier. You're the idiot. What gives you the right to push someone else to do their wedding according to your traditional views? Do you know what happens when you don't follow tradition? Nothing. The world doesn't explode, the marriage doesn't mean less, the ceremony doesn't mean less. In fact, the wedding means more to them because it reflects who they are and it's infused with their essence. There's no point in doing everything by the book and then remembering the day like it was a theater play to appease rigid people like you. You're the idiot. This is a great friend of yours and you're going to force your style choices on her. She wasn't coming to you with an issue where her and her fiancé couldn't agree on something, they came to a joint decision. You don't have to love the tracksuit, it doesn't have to be in your style. But you shut up and do it anyway because it makes your friend happy on their wedding day, just like millions of other bridal party members have done before you when they don't like the dresses or any other style choice. Okay, for simplicity, I'm going to say I'm a nurse and I work with a specialist doctor. The workload has gotten high, so we added a second nurse 3 or 4 months ago to help me out. The plan was that she would basically be my sidekick for about a year while she learned the ropes and I handled the difficult stuff. This makes sense because I have decades of experience and she is a new grad. However, about 2 months after she started I noticed all the complex or interesting or fun tasks were going to her and I was basically cleaning up crew and phone duty. These are patients that are well past her current skill level and things I was supposed to be mentoring her on. I brought it up to the doc in a casual way and he accused me of being jealous and territorial. I should add here that teaching new grads is one of my passions because I feel better skills around the hospital help everyone. I prefer collaborative environments. I pointed out that I have worked on my skills for a long time to be where I am and it feels like I've been demoted while she has taken my job. I basically got the brush off, I'm crazy and imagining it and looking for a pity party and went home confused as to what was going on. Well, fast forward to this week when I left something in the office and came back after they thought I was gone. As I opened the door they were hastily jumping away from each other, wiping their faces and fixing their clothes. I was in a state of shock and just turned and left. My phone blew up with texts. Not denials or anything, just begging me to keep quiet about it. I wouldn't care if they were just dating, but the fact that it has resulted in my essentially losing my dream job so that they can be together more is unacceptable to me. I explained that and they promised things would change, but the rest of the week was no different. My job was still to cater to the new nurse. And of course, now that I knew, I saw them touching each other constantly. Making out in closets, grabbing her as they pass each other, etc. I feel like I am being punished because I brushed off the doc's advances a few years back, but the new girl obviously welcomed them. He was very flirty with me at first until I explained I wasn't interested in a married man. I am so miserable at work that I have considered taking a much lower paying position just to feel useful again. Would I be the idiot if I went straight to HR instead of giving them a second warning? They might both lose their jobs and one of them has a spouse that would definitely find out about his affair. Not the idiot. HR is there to deal with any issues you might have with colleagues, and this is clearly causing you stress and upset. It is unfair of them to put you in this position where you have been asked to not say anything about the affair, and yet she gets all of those better jobs. Plus the open flirting and making out is extremely unprofessional. You should enjoy your job and put your own comfort first in this case. I hope it all works out. Their career shouldn't suffer because of their affair. Not the idiot. Who they sleep with is their business. What I find absolutely unacceptable is him putting an inexperienced nurse in charge of patients that require more care and attention is reckless and beyond selfish. There are people's lives and well-being at stake here. Giving her work beyond her competencies and having you demoted in your workload is unprofessional, and such things should be reported to HR, even without the affair. They were stupid enough to send texts asking you to keep your mouth shut. Not the idiot. In fact, if you don't report it, it'd be everyone's screw here. Frankly, I almost said that already, because you know what's going on, there's a quid pro quo, and it involved patients being at risk. Someone who isn't ready to fly solo is doing so because a coworker is sleeping with a doctor. Without knowing the specialty, it could mean lives are literally at risk, or at the very least, quality of care suffers as a result. The fact you've waited a week and still haven't reported it disturbs me, and you really need to get on that. My son is really energetic and loud 10-year-old, and my wife and I have had more than our fair share of crazy stories from raising this young man. Today, he came home with a brand new Nintendo Switch game that we never bought for him before Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. I saw him playing it today and asked him where he got the game, but he kept dodging and avoiding answering the question. When I pressed further, he says that he traded with a friend. I figured he meant that he traded one of his games with his friend from class, no biggie. I later got messaged on Facebook from the other classmate's mother telling me what really happened. Turns out, my son convinced his classmate to trade his Legend of Zelda Nintendo Switch game for a small bag of flamin' hot Cheetos our boy brought to lunch. The mother was very polite about it and said that her son was crying from not having the game anymore and revealed that he had traded it for a bag of Cheetos from our son. She never raised her voice or got upset in any way. She even offered to pay $10 to our son to get the game back if he resisted. When I walked into my son's room, I started explaining to him how what he did was wrong and asked him how he would feel if someone took advantage of him like that, and he insists that he didn't do anything wrong. He says that they shook on the trade fair and square and that it was completely his friend's fault for agreeing to the trade if he didn't want to. I started talking to him about long-term relationships and how he probably wouldn't have too many friends growing up if he blatantly takes advantage of people like that, and he mentions that all the rich people do it and he doesn't care if his friend is upset, it's his fault for agreeing to the trade. He watches a lot of Shark Tank because my wife and I thought it would be a good influence, but apparently, it led to this. At this point, I had to intervene and shut the game down, took the game away from my son by force, and drove to his classmate's house, apologizing profusely to the mother for the incident. My son went crying to my wife, and when I got back home, my wife thinks I was a complete idiot for not talking things through with my son before taking action. She agrees that it was unfair of him to take advantage of his classmate like that, but that he really didn't do anything wrong if they both agreed to that trade, so I should have at least asked for the $10 from the mom when I returned the game and given it to my son as a consolation prize, instead of just punishing him. To be honest, not sure what the right response is. Not the idiot. While he, your son, is technically correct that the other kid owns some fault here, your wife is crazy. You don't negotiate with your kids to manipulate them to do the right thing. You explain it simply, and if they don't go along willingly, you make them. I'm sure your wife is a wonderful person, but I hope she comes around to understand that her proposed solution is not a good one, and I hope she doesn't employ that type of parenting in other situations, and that's the origin of your son's entitled behavior. Not the idiot. That's a really bad mindset, and he needs real punishment to teach him out of that before it becomes a pattern, assuming it isn't already. He knows he did something wrong, or he wouldn't have avoided the question. Opportunistic behavior may reap reward sometimes, but it also leads to criminal behaviors, which will land him in prison and hurt a lot of people, which will harm his relationships. Also, if this type of behavior isn't new and is actually normal for him, I'd be seriously concerned and consider speaking to a child psychologist.